The World and I, session 7. In the previous session, I spoke about the characteristics of God as an extension of the pure good to infinity. Um, this time, I want to talk about the characteristic of evil and perhaps even go to the pure evil and extending it to infinity. And as I said, that brings up the concept of Satan or the devil. And while I do not uh, want to debate it with other people, I don't think personally that concept is a very valid one for all the reasons I spoke about God. Uh, and since I'm not here to talk religious terms, I'm really here to talk about um, what I consider characteristics of evil in human terms, not religious terms. And in human terms, based on the two principles I talked about, uh, going along the continuance of pure evil will only take you as far as losing every aspect of goodness in the person. As I stated earlier, aside from disasters, earthquakes, natural and diseases, etc., evil in the world is brought about by ourselves lacking the goodness, and particularly uh, having a very faint vertical relationship with our Creator, if any. Some of the people may not even have any relationship, and they could be good or evil. But the other reason is the horizontal relationship, and that I fully believe that the more we are full of the of these attributes of envy, jealousy, hate, you name it, takes us further and further in the direction of pure evil, and that these are what creates evil in the world, and eventually leads to all kind of things, including wars and famine, and you name it. And I'll get to that in future sessions. But for now, I just want to define this side of the continuum leading us to pure evil as based on people denying other people to be different or robbing them of what they have or wanting to extend their selfishness further and further by taking away from others or controlling them or possessing them or enslaving them or forcing them to do what they don't want. All these directions, all these actions will take these people in the direction of evil, because the two principles I talked about in the earlier session about a vertical relationship with our Creator and the horizontal one to treat others as you would want them to treat you, and especially the second one, that is where evil is brought about. You could think that if you don't have a personal relationship with God, you may allow evil to get into your heart, but I'm not willing to make that jump right off. It could, but I may not necessarily accept that. I know a lot of atheists who have no personal relationship with the Creator, and they are as good as you'd get them. But I do make the exception that if you do have that you don't want to allow the second principle to take effect, or you oppose it, or you vehemently refuse the others the right to be what they are, then that is taking you further and further to pure evil. And what I said in a previous session, that the Daesh, the Islamic State, and the people that are imposing their beliefs on others, who you either take my belief or I will cut your head, is really taking it all the way to the extreme towards pure evil, because you're totally denying others their rights. And of course, you are not treating them the way you want to be treated. You're doing exactly the opposite. So evil, in my mind, is a betrayal of the second principle, and the more you betray that principle, the further down the continuum towards pure evil you become. And this is not only true of individuals, but it's true of groups and even nations. Nations that sometimes proclaim themselves to be superior to other nations. And that is also taking those nations in the direction of evil. Because when nations believe that they are the superior race, as happened, for example, in Germany at one time during the Second World War, you just want to deny others to be, you're superior and everybody else has to be inferior. Any ideology like that is contrary to the second principle I've been speaking about. And so I would say that it is not just individuals, but it could be nations, and it could be a whole group of people that they form, much like Daesh was, based on some ideology that they formulate for themselves or taught to them by others, and it takes them all the way to lose more and more of their humanity, and they become robots of their ideology. They become instruments of their ideology, and evil takes full hold of them, so that they feel no more any remorse about treating others in the barbaric way that they treat them. This has happened throughout history, but what we see in 2014 is a definite manifestation of this phenomenon. Pure evil, as devil or Satan, may not exist, but there are a lot of individuals who take the path close enough to be labeled as such. Just as I should have mentioned in my previous session, that there are few people that take the path of, let's use the word righteousness, the path of going towards the light, towards treating your neighbor even ahead of yourself, not just to treat him as you'd like them to treat you, but treat them even more so. And there has been people like that. There has been Mother Teresa's, and there has been examples that takes us towards pure good, and people who would sacrifice their life for others. And so between these two, in last session and this, I think there's a fairly good gauge that we can use in order to assess, this notion of good and evil, and the characteristic of God as the infinite good, and characteristic of, quote, devil, or whatever comes close to it, as the infinite evil. I'll get back to this topic another time.